Man, this episode, recording this, it's gonna be great.
Heck yeah, it is.
Welcome back to the DQ Football Frenzy, where we have chill vibes and cold takes. I'm one of your hosts, Quinn Spino. That's your other host, Dylan Shields, and we're back after the wild card weekends. A lot of good games, a lot of interesting things happening after games too, which I think that's what we're going to start with this episode. So I'm going to turn over to Dylan with the news.
We always, of course, hype every episode, but I think we're in for an all timer here. I don't think we've ever hit this much of news and stuff going on across the league like this. I mean, fitting that episode 20 is one of the more important ones. Boy, thank gosh we're doing a podcast when all this is happening, but we got to get right into it. DQ News! The DQ Frenzy News. And we got to start with the obvious. The game itself, the Steelers, Texans, it was ugly. It was low scoring. It was 7-6 most of the game, 10-6 in the fourth quarter. But then Rodgers got demolished, scoop and 6. And then after that, it was just a complete blowout, 30-6. Once again, the Steelers get blown out and are eliminated from the playoffs. But in a stunning turn of events, Quinn, I want you to know that the Steelers have had 3 head coaches since 1969. We get to do a podcast and talk about this. This is a once every 20 to 30 years moment. So enjoy this. The Steelers comet has just hit the planet. Because Mike Tomlin has stepped down as head coach after 19 seasons. He's not fired. He is stepping down. Overall record, 193-14 with 2 ties. But the reason why these fans have wanted him out for a long time, most Steelers fans at least, is the 7-game postseason losing streak that started in 2017 up until this year. He hasn't won a postseason game since beating Alex Smith and the Chiefs in 2016. I cannot believe that was 10 years ago. Overall, 8-12 in the playoffs. Obviously, 1 Super Bowl title. And yeah, 19 just long years. I wasn't even into football back then when Tomlin was hired. It was like a couple years later when I was into it. He was literally my whole football life was Mike Tomlin. And another generation went through Bill Cowher. Another went through Chuck Noll. That is insane. There's no other franchise that's going to be like Pittsburgh, only having their 4th head coach in the last half of a century. Just insane statistic. But Quinn, I got to go to you first. What is your reaction to, one, got to give the credits to the Texans too. Don't want to just make it all about the Steelers, but the blowout win for the Texans and then the stunning firing of Tomlin. Not even firing, but him walking out.
7. I'll make it all about the Steelers. Who cares about the Texans? No, I mean, the Texans, they did well. Their defense was good, but like half their points were scored by their defense. CJ Stroud did not look good. He had 5 turnovers, 5 fumbles, and an interception. Like, I don't have a lot of faith in the Texans. Their defense, yes. CJ Stroud, no. But I mean, they won. Their defense did its job, and that's kind of what we expected a bit. But disappointing for the Steelers. One of Aaron Rodgers' last passes, I think, might have been that pick 6. So that's unfortunate for him. I don't know if he'll come back, especially considering that Mike Tomlin is stepping down. before I get fully into Tomlin, I do want to make a comment that I think is rather entertaining. So before this season, you had, the AFC North, all those head coaches,
I know where it's
Stefanski,
going.
you had Harbaugh, you had Tomlin, and you had Zach Taylor. The only one remaining is the only one that I would actually
Of
expect
all
to be
people, of all
gone.
people,
Yeah, yeah. The Browns should just be like, that's a good idea. We'll fire our head coach too. You might as well, that is kind of crazy though for almost your whole division to have like a head coaching opening. Like that's crazy. I don't
he's
know if
by
that's
far the worst out of the
historical.
4 coaches in that division this year. By far.
And the
It's
Bengals are like,
insane.
why are you guys firing your head coaches? That I think that's very entertaining. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of Steelers fans were unhappy about what Tomlin's done throughout the years, and it's rough not winning a playoff game since 2016. But I mean, say what you will, but he was a good head coach. Like he won games. I mean, there's something that just didn't work with the playoffs. I don't know what it was. I don't know if anyone outside the Steelers can say for certain. I don't know if even the Steelers can say for certain because they clearly haven't figured out what the issue was. Um, but or at least they might figure it out, but didn't do any or make any solutions that were good enough to change that, like potentially trading up in the draft to get a better player. Anyway, um, but yeah, I mean, crazy, historical. Like Dylan said, the Steelers have had 3 coaches. That is very impressive, and that's a lot of pressure now for the Steelers and the next head coach to be under too. Of like, all right, guys, well, we have to find the best coach, your best head coach for us, and stick with him for 20 years.
You couldn't ask
But
for better job security, whoever's going here.
yeah, that's true. As long as you don't like wet the bed, you'll probably have a pretty decent tenure. Um, but yeah, definitely surprising. I don't know if I'm not sure if he said the reason why. I imagine maybe he wants to retire. Um, but I mean, exciting for the Steelers in the sense of like this was something everyone was talking about and potential fix to the playoff losses. So now we will see if this was in fact a Tomlin problem or not. But yeah, really good head coach. Kind of sad to see him go, but I think Steelers fans overall are going to be excited for it because it means new potential, new opportunities.
Definitely. In relation to Tomlin, I want to talk about the quarterback because he's another key discussion. Aaron Rodgers. We obviously don't know if that pick 6 was potentially his last pass, not just as a Steeler, but in the league. He talked to reporters after the game. This could be his last press conference as a starting quarterback, and he was not happy.
Game affect your decision for what to do next year in any way?
No, I mean, I'm not going to make any emotional decisions. Disappointed, obviously, it's such a fun year. A lot of adversity, but a lot of fun. Been a great year, overall in my life in the last year, and this is, a really good part of that, coming here and being a part of this team. So it's disappointing to be sitting here with the season over.
Play again, do you want it to be here?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Aaron, how do you approach just what you decide to do next?
Yeah, just get away and then have the right conversations.
What have you learned from being with Mike for a season about him?
And I've answered that a number of times. I've talked extensively about how I feel about Mike, and I just did in that fucking answer. So, thanks.
All right.
Pretty tough way to end. Overall, what was a fun season he had. You could tell he just enjoyed being there. You could tell the drama wasn't there. He wasn't on the McAfee show every week like he was when he was in New York. It was probably the most drama-free Aaron Rodgers season in years, which is crazy to say. But back to Tomlin. The funny thing is, I made a whole almost 5-minute video that was on TikTok and Instagram Reels about the Steelers losing that game. Quinn, that video was 7 minutes, and I had to trim it down to around 4.5. It's how frustrated I was after the loss. Wasn't shocked, though. Nothing shocking. But now I basically got to tear apart my whatever script I had in terms of what I was going to originally say before today, because now the culture completely changed now with this move. I mean, I said it. This is a once in a blue moon move. This is something that rarely ever happens in Pittsburgh because of tradition and how the Rooneys operate as owners in terms of loyalty, not really wanting to ever fire coaches. Look at how hard it was to get Matt Canada out of town when he should have been fired a long time ago. It's not who the Steelers are. And part of me and a lot of Pittsburgh likes that. It's cool how different we are from the other franchises in terms of loyalty and commitment and patience. But it also feels a little outdated of a tactic to be this loyal, where in the modern NFL, it's a what have you done for me lately league. It's not so much about legacies. There's not a lot of these Mike Tomlins of the world. Really, all we got left is Andy Reid in terms of the longest tenure coaches. That's it. So it's fading away really fast. And I said this on the short. I made a quick short about the firing when it was breaking news. You are allowed to say he's a legend, because I still think he is. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the best coaches in Steelers history and in NFL history. And you could say at the same time, it was time to move on. I don't understand why these national sports media thinks it's like disrespectful and sacrilege to say, oh, Mike Tomlin needs to go. They thought it was just like fallacy, which no, it's not. It's not at all. You're allowed to acknowledge his greatness and at the same time move on. You had that in Philly with Andy Reid all those years. And there are some people in the sports media that just flat out don't like Tomlin at all, personally, professionally, think he's a bum, and are like celebrating the fire. I'm not so much celebrating it, more of relief and like kind of bittersweet. It is a little bit sad. It's tough to take in, like you said, Quinn. It's the end of an era. I mean, it was my childhood, a lot of people's childhood, him being the coach. And it's something we're not used to seeing coaches, but it was the right time. It was honestly the classiest way you could have done it, having it basically come down to Tomlin's decision. The fact, Quinn, that he said this so quickly and he decided this so quickly, I think it's been brewing up all season. On the way back from work, I listened to the local sports radio, and this came from, I think, a local female reporter. We don't know if any of this is true, but apparently this has kind of been a thing since the beginning of the season. Tomlin's been thinking about, I think in like November, he was thinking about change of scenery. I think apparently there was some tension too with Tomlin not feeling respected within the organization, especially amid the fire Tomlin chants. There's a lot of like spreading rumors that we don't know if it's true or not, that basically it's kind of been brewing this season, which I do think is true, because why else would you make a decision so fast? But it was time to move on. It was just the 10-7 seasons were just way too much to stomach. It was annoying. You're in football purgatory when you're average all year. You would rather be terrible and try to get the number 1 pick or top 5 pick than be stuck in the 21st every year, never good enough to get a franchise QB, but you're just good enough to make the playoffs and you get exposed by the real teams. And people do say Tomlin got the best out of his teams. He never had the best rosters. Well, guess what? Tomlin was responsible for those rosters. The Rooneys let Tomlin and whoever the GM was when he was coach run the show, pretty much. And it obviously didn't work. So he deserves the credit for consistency, but consistency doesn't exactly equal greatness. And we could be spoiled as Steelers fans, I will say that. Browns fans, Jets fans, Raiders fans would probably die to have, well, Tomlin as their coach, but like the consistency that we have. But there's only so much time that you could be just consistent before you need to be great. and win a championship. And they haven't been like that since the Killer Bees were around in a long time. So, yeah, this was overdue. This felt like it should have honestly even happened even sooner, but I'm relieved it happened, but I acknowledge and thank him for everything he's done for Pittsburgh. I don't know what the future holds for him. We'll talk about that in just a bit of the other coaches, but a complicated legacy for Tomlin, but still, both parties needed to move on. I've been saying it all year. Both sides, I think, got the best out of that. And just insane. But anyway, Texans, congratulations to you. I want to give you all the credit. It's not just about Pittsburgh. If they clean up the offense, I think they're a Super Bowl contender. I know you don't believe in them as much, Quinn, but that defense is scary. They're young, they're fast, they're hungry. Let's just clean it up a little bit, Stroud, with the picks. Let's clean it up a little bit. But I've been talking forever, so Quinn, I'm going to let you talk about your team because they had just as bad of a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that happened was defense finally broke. Our defense has been great. I think they were second in the league in like lowest number of points allowed or something like that. I forget exactly what it was on the graphic, but the defense was great, but they allowed the Niners get a touchdown on the first drive, and then when the Niners were driving towards the end of the game, they let them get another touchdown. And we needed some different play calling. Because if you hadn't, well, Dylan, you might not know this, but someone on Twitter went through and analyzed the Eagles' last drive, and the plays consisted of, I think, about four plays that were like four verts, so just receivers basically running straight, more or less. Then I think maybe like two slant routes, or like two slants for two different plays, and then one other play that was somewhat similar, a little creative, but just awful play calling. Like, okay, we need to win the game. What are we gonna do? Just send all the receivers down the field. Well, this was a huck it up to them, and it's just awful. But I may not be. You might be like, why is he not more like annoyed by this? But it's because Patullo is gone. It's on my little thing beneath my name. We have eliminated Patullo. He no longer is going to be the offensive coordinator. In the like the statement, it was technically officially Sirianni that let him go, basically from that position. So they might
The
retain
guy
him.
who promoted him fired him. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's fantastic he's gone because he was a terrible play caller. But that is just a question of who do we get? Because on one hand, we need somebody who actually okay. There's a few things wrong with the Eagles this year. It wasn't just all him, but all on Patullo. But like the offensive line was hurt. They didn't have great years. I mean, none of our linemen made any of the Pro Bowl or all 2025 team or
There's
anything,
a
which we didn't talk
certain
about.
receiver that was chirping and decided to
Yeah,
drop some passes. That might have
yeah,
played his last game as an Eagle. Just saying.
yeah. Briefly, the all 2025 team, the first team included Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, and Mitchell was put there above Pat Surtain. Just saying. Anyway, yeah, AJ Brown. I don't think he's gonna leave unless he really wants out. But this is just the media. The media wants him to leave. They want him to leave so bad. They're like, "Oh my God, the Eagles, they lost. AJ Brown dropped the ball. He looked annoyed. He argued with Sirianni. He's gone." That's all the media wants this year. And all Patriots fans probably want to because they want a receiver and they like Brown. But I don't think it's going to happen. Brown understands that. I certainly imagine. Think he's smart enough to understand, like, well, play calling was bad this year. He still got his 1,000-yard season. But the Eagles didn't do well because they had a problem called Kevin Patullo. And certainly AJ Brown understands that. We have him on contract for a while yet, 3 years, I want to say, and then maybe 2 now. But I don't think he's gonna go. I was talking about this with a guy at work, and it's just unless AJ Brown really wants out, which he might, but I I'm hoping, and I don't know if I don't think he'll go. The drop passes did hurt. Um, but I mean, there's a lot more to the game than AJ Brown catching 3 passes. It was unfortunate, but our offense was bad. This wasn't surprising that we lost. So that made it a little better, but it's still disappointing that we did. Um, but I mean, Patullo's gone, so now we have to start the search. Also, something I think is interesting is we have a pattern on the Eagles of wild card exit, go to the Super Bowl. Wild card exit, go to the Super Bowl. We're back at wild card exit right now. And both times we went to the Super Bowl, and then the next year we just and our coordinators left. We're like, who should we hire? Let's hire from within. And I don't think that's a bad option. And I like the Sirianni's like loyalty to his people. But the issue with hiring from within with the Eagles right now, with this kind of like coaching staff, is well, I'll give an example of like comparing. So like the Rams, for instance, you have Sean McVay, great like offensive mind strategist. He's good at offense and creating plays. Sirianni is great at motivating his team. Excuse me, and being a people guy. He is not a strategist. He is not a scheme guy. So when you have the Rams and you have a offense coordinator from the Rams, and you're like, okay, maybe he'll be good. Or if the Rams are promoting somebody from within to offensive coordinator, that guy's been there learning from McVay, seeing how he operates, seeing what he calls, being in the building and learning from a strategist, which works well when you promote them, or at least has a lot better chance of working well because they've seen great stuff from Sean McVay. If you go to the Eagles and you promote a guy from within there, as we've seen 2 years now, he's a good leader. He's a good motivator and leads his team. He's not a good play caller. He's not a strategist. He doesn't know. I mean, we saw Patullo. First half, fine when he schemes everything, but he can't adjust. And then he just calls 4 verts, 4 verts, 4 verts at the end of the game when you need to win. And that's the issue. We like Sirianni. Say what you will. I honestly don't know what to say about Sirianni, but he has a winning record. He's has one of the winningest records. I don't know if that's actually a term or not, but it's the sports media loves it. So winningest records of a lot of head coaches right now, but he can't promote the guys from within because they don't learn anything useful for their jobs from him. So so that brings up the question of what are the Eagles going to do then with coordinator? There's a lot of good options right now, but all of them are going to be here for 1 year and then gone the next because they'll come in. We'll probably go to another Super Bowl, hopefully, like the Pattern's going. And it's a great spot for coordinators because, I mean, what was I just talking about? And then the talent on the Eagles, like this is a great place to go. Like, look at all the weapons you have. Like that's fantastic. Who wouldn't want to coach for the Eagles? And then if they can't get a head coaching job now, or if it's like the Raiders, like if I was a coordinator, I'd rather go to the Eagles, be a coordinator for a year, and get probably the top head coaching job the next year, or at least one of the top jobs next year, over going and being the head coach of like the Raiders and like dealing with a rebuild. So yeah, all of that to say, disappointing loss, not unexpected, but exciting that we got rid of our head coach. We'll have to see who we hire. I think the best bet is trying to find someone who's like Vic Fangio doesn't want to leave after this. Frank Reich, I know, is a name that's been mentioned because he's been around. He's been a head coach, hasn't worked out, but when he was the coordinator for the Eagles, we did pretty well. So I don't know if he still got it, but there's a question. Do you take him and take a risk or a chance on him being great again or not? Or do you go and hire somebody who's going to be here for a year, maybe win another Super Bowl, and then deal with this whole problem again next year? I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of trying Reich, but thankfully that's not my job, and I don't have to decide that. But, I mean, either way, Eagles are in a pretty good spot. And I think we have like the 22nd pick or 23rd, which is a little bit of a silver lining because we can get a bit of a better player than the pick we had last year. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy today, and other things too have helped. But yeah, pretty good day.
I also think too there's just plenty of opportunities and plenty of coaches, because how insane this carousel has been, to look besides within and go back to someone like Frank Reich, who was good, but not sure if he would fit right now with this offense. His offense was kind of completely different back when he was coordinator. When you got guys like, I think Mike McDaniel's a slam dunk that I think you should be calling right now to go get that job. Him, I know you mentioned Dayball in the past. Any of those two that may not be the greatest head coaches, but are great coordinators, maybe even if they don't last, I say you go for that. But it's crazy the similarities of both of us with brutally disappointing playoff losses. But you're in a good mood at least because Patullo pretty much universally won and gone. I mean, for God's sakes, your fan base was throwing eggs at his house after the Bears loss. While
Deserved, to be fair.
While ours was kind of more of a bittersweet, like, yeah, it needed to happen, but he's been around for so long. It's a little bit different scenarios, but you guys just won a Super Bowl not even a year ago, and the fan base doesn't care. Like, you're one of the only objective Philly fans. Everybody else just wants everybody fired and don't care about the Super Bowl. Again, it's a what have you done for me now lately? Well, I guess in Philly, it's what have you done for me this year? Because last year don't mean a damn thing anymore. It's insane. I also think it's crazy, too, unless A.J. Brown wants out, you can't let him go. That offense, Devontae Smith's good, but, man, losing the threat and presence of him, it's similar to DK in terms of, like, both big physique receivers that may not produce the best stats, but their presence alone helps the offense. So it'd be crazy if he was gone, but it's more up to him, which might be a little worrying. Yeah. But yeah, we'll get back to talking about like the future of both our teams, especially mine. But I know it's not all about Pennsylvania, guys, because there were so many other good wild card games this weekend. Quinn, host, want to talk about them?
Of course I do. So we'll start with the Rams-Panthers because it was the first game. That game was a doozy. The Panthers really scared the Rams, gave them a run for their money. The Panthers, let's see, they were down 14-0 beginning of the game, came back. Jalen Coker, wow. But the Panthers had 2 leads in the fourth quarter. They even had a blocked punt. And kudos to the Panthers. I really didn't know what was going to happen. That was definitely a back-and-forth game. Scared the Rams, like I said, but great game. I was kind of hoping the Panthers would win just because it'd be crazy. But yeah, wow. That was fun. Packers-Bears. Bears had an 18-point comeback. That was impressive. I mean, geez, an American becomes Pope from Chicago area, and all of a sudden the Bears are right there in competition. A coincidence? I think not. Anyway, but yeah, definitely impressive for the Bears. Packers. I saw a little short by Gridiron Heights on YouTube, and they're like, jury's still out, trying to figure out if Jordan Love is good. Which, I mean, I still question that, so glad to know I'm not alone there.
We know your beef with him, your history.
Yeah, but hey, really good game, close game. Packers really had it in the bag for a while until the Bears were like, all right, time to put on our big boy pants and just win this. Caleb Williams played very well.
It's like it almost happened twice this season.
Yes, we had real life NFL foreshadowing. Yay. There are 2 more games, but I figure that we haven't talked about yet. But I figure first, Dylan, did you want to say anything about these 2?
Well, yeah. I mean, the Rams, a little bit concerned for them, especially on the defensive side, to let that happen to them. They were the biggest, like, low-seed favorites to make a run. And playing like this, I don't know if it's just Carolina matches up with them well or what. they got to clean some things up if they want to beat the Bears this week. But all praise to the Panthers. I said even before the game, I still think it was a good season for them. Look at me wearing my Panther blue. I mean, yeah, the record sucked, and winning the division in the way they did was underwhelming. But to play this competitive with a team like this, I think the future's bright. It's just the consistency. Like, Bryce has to improve with consistency. Because if he keeps playing like this, he's their future. But if he has games like the Tampa game, he won't last. But I'm confident they definitely had the right guy at the helm at coach, 100%. We'll see what happens with guys like Rico Dowdle. I don't know if he stays because Chuba Hubbard did have 2 touchdowns. But, yeah, the future's definitely bright in Carolina. I think the defense is the biggest thing they need to work on. But just proud of them. And the Rams, you got lucky that number 9 is him and then some, because just, wow, that offense is fun to watch. Packers, Bears. I mean, I don't think the Packers fans were feeling that great heading into the playoffs anyway. They lost 4 or 5 in a row heading into it. Micah's done for the year. But to lose like this to a rival after Love had the game that he did, I mean, he had 4 touchdowns. But for this defense to collapse the way they did, after the Bears went for it 4 times on 4th down in the first half and didn't get one of them, down 21-3, to blow it twice is wild to me. You got to give it to Caleb Williams. He may be a gunslinger that throws way too risky passes, but some of those throws, that 4th down pass, that was pretty much the game where he rolled out to the left. Incredible. And just the way he was moving the ball to help them come back. Like, you just had a feeling Caleb was feeling it and that the Packers were in deep, deep trouble. And they were. And Brandon McManus, he is gone. He is absolutely done. He was a great kicker back when he was in Denver. He is not that same guy anymore. Missed extra point, a missed kick. He hits any of those, they potentially could win or at least tie the game and go into overtime. But you can't 100% blame him, because to let this happen on both the offense not converting when they should be and the defense just completely collapsing in the 4th quarter and not being able to cover anybody, that's why you paid Micah the big bucks, because look at the pass rush without him. It's a mess. And I do not know where LaFleur's future is. I still think he's a good coach. I think they're most likely going to extend him, despite the intriguing free agent coaching. But you can't blame Packers fans for kind of not wanting him, because you want to talk about the Steelers being stuck into purgatory. So is Green Bay. They've been the 7th seed like every year the past couple years. It's like anything or any signing they do doesn't do a damn thing, because it keeps being the same result every time. But this one's extra crucial because they got bragging rights on you for at least a year. Packers, get those cheese graters out, because Packers, you deserve it.
It is rather entertaining seeing the cheese graters. Although when you talk about Brandon McManus, I did for a second flashback to the Eagles game and Jake Elliott missing an extra point, which also could have won the game. But anyway, not what we're talking about right now. What we are going to talk about is the Bills-Jags game, another fantastic game. There's a lot of really good games this weekend. Wild card. This was a proper wild card weekend.
And then the Chargers and Steelers are like, that was a little bit too much fun.
Yeah, that was too exciting. Why don't we just taper this down a bit? How's about some boring games? But yeah, Bills-Jags was another great one. Bills won by 3 points. So unfortunately, Dylan and I both got that wrong. I did text Dylan at some point in my notes app with the predictions on the morning, I think, of the 8th. I'm like, I was looking at the games. I'm like, I kind of feel like I should have chosen the Bills, maybe. I don't know. But I didn't change it, obviously, because
it was the hardest one to pick. And my dumbass should not have chosen the Steelers either. I could have gone 5-1, but no.
But yeah, so anyway, I mean, we both went 4-2, so that's not terrible. We both chose our own teams. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed about that. And then, there's bound to be one other weird game.
Well, I
Anyway,
didn't
but yeah,
choose my own team to go to the Super Bowl and win. But
I
that's
know you're talking
here or
about.
there.
I'm just a big fan of the Eagles. And anyway, we're talking about the Bills right now. But yeah, Bills had their first road win since 1992. Josh Allen is now no longer like 0-4 or 8. I forget, like probably 4 in playoff games away. Yes, the no road wins since 92. But
Well, he's
Allen
still
also got
undefeated in
beat up.
wild card games. Never lost.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of injuries for Allen in this game, but
Oof.
really good game. Trevor Lawrence had 2 picks, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, but great game. And then slightly less great game, but another really injured quarterback in the Chargers Patriot.
Oh,
Herbert. I mean, at least
poor
Herbert played
Herbert.
better now.
Oh, he got killed. Oh, he almost died on that field.
Stop.
And so did Drake May.
Yeah. Wow. 16-3. Not a very interesting game for all the violence going on towards the quarterbacks. But I mean, the Patriots emerged on top. To be honest, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this game besides like, okay, Dylan, what you got?
Well, first for the Bills game, I mean, Tony Romo said about 5 million times that like the winner of this game could potentially make a Super Bowl run. No shit, Tony. A lot of people were not happy at his commentary for the game, probably because he misses Mahomes, his boy, being in the playoffs. But yeah, this was a game that you had no clue where this was going. It was kind of like a whoever got the ball last kind of won. When the Jags took the lead, it's like you left too much time for Allen. It's insane that Allen's doing the things he did with the bum knee and foot. It's insane. From the tush push, which is quite ironic that they're still running that play, considering they wanted it banned, but the insane tush push that got him like 10 yards, to just, again, with no running game either, James Cook barely did anything, and Allen still managed to get it done. It was basically the Allen and a little bit of Shakir show. Shakir finally, some Bills receiver kind of stepped up a little bit to help out. But it was, I said it was basically the better team overall versus the star quarterback. And at the end of the day, the better star quarterback barely edged them. And the turnovers do not help. Obviously, the Gabe losing interception, I thought Jacksonville was at least going to go down and tie it, so I was a little shocked when Trevor threw that pick. But I don't think the Jags have much to be ashamed about, similar to Carolina. I think their future's bright. Cohen's clearly the guy there. They looked really, really good. Parker Washington had a day, and Etienne and Thomas Jr. even had touchdowns. Finally, BTJ doing something this season. And they kept up. They did a good job against the Bills. It was nothing really egregious about this game other than the Lawrence turnovers. It was just the Bills were the better team at the end of the day. And interesting enough, I want to ask you about this, Quinn, because this was talked about a lot. There was a reporter after the game that gave Cohen some nice compliments, but for some reason that created controversy.
How you doing today? Lynn Jones, Jacksonville Free Press News. I just want to tell you congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank you.
You hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank
you.
you.
Did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you
it.
just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, because this world is miserable, there was, of course, controversy about this. There were a lot of tweets going out from other professional reporters saying that this was not professional at all, that this wasn't the right timing to do it, because when you're a reporter, you come in at a limited time and you have potentially, you can only have one question and not a lot of time to ask these players because they're on borrowed time, and they think to use that time to just give people compliments is not right, not professional. You're here to ask questions. Part of me wants to understand that because, I mean, it is your job as a reporter, no matter how tough the questions are, to ask them. And maybe I guess they have a point of like it's not the right setting to do it. But also, how miserable is this world to crap on this? Are we that miserable of a world? Are we just that focused on work, 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 work to where we can't enjoy a genuine moment like this? It pisses me off so bad. Like, again, I want to justify and understand what they're saying, but it's also like have a heart, you bunch of Grinches. Seriously, come on, it's a genuine moment.
I think there's a lot of, from what I've seen in the news and clips, it seems like there's a lot of worthless pieces of garbage that calls themselves reporters, and just
Thank you.
like it's infuriating. Like you see some clips of like reporters just going at it, and people are like, "Stop!" Like,
Asking the worst questions.
yeah, and like I get like you're trying to get content, but like where's like the self-respect? Where's the professional courtesy? Like I think what this lady did was very nice. I think it was a great timing for it of like Jags. I think a lot of people had expectations they would go on past this round. Um, but it's disappointing, but I think it was very nice of that lady. So I think that is phenomenal of her to reassure him like that, and I know he appreciated that and the players. I mean, like so that's great, and that's nice to hear, especially your press conference afterwards where Aaron Rodgers is like, "Why don't we retire? You can retire. Do you like Mike Tomlin? Yeah, I just asked you this question, but do you like Mike Tomlin? Do you hate me? Do you hate all of our reporters? Do you hate the world? Are you evil?" And ask like 50 other loaded questions. And it's
Oh my
ridiculous.
god.
Like,
Oh my god. Quinn
so
just went
yeah,
full Yinzer.
yeah. So you know what? Those reporters who are like, yeah, you're just bad people. You can go screw yourselves. Go ask a decent question. Stop being terrible people.
And that's to your point where it's like I want to justify what they're saying, but it's so hypocritical because there's so many levels of unprofessionalism in terms of questions being asked. There's nothing wrong with asking the tough questions, but it's all about timing and respect
Yeah.
and
And what are you gonna
professionalism.
ask? Like, oh man, that sucks. Are you disappointed that you lost? Like, yeah. What are the pressing questions you want to ask there immediately after the game? Like,
Yeah, that's a fair point. Uh, in terms of the Chargers Patriots game, yeah, I don't have a lot on it too, other than both QBs almost died on the field. Greg
multiple
Roman
times.
being fired, I feel like was the right move. I feel like he's been around for many years coaching. I think he's coached for almost 30 years. It's just too old school of a playbook, especially with the depleted injuries. I don't know, Quinn, if you saw the memes when Sunday Night Football does their intros of like the O lineman pro football focus rankings. Like all of them was like 41 of 42 or 42-42, and it's like, oh crap, it's gonna be a long day for Herbert. And it was. I mean, the Pats O-line was not any better. They've had their issues all year. These are two of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league, so should we really be shocked by this? I mean, you can't put this game on Herbert. It is the thing of like, how much more excuses are we going to give him of never winning a playoff game? But he's just never really had the team to get over the top, and he's never had the matchup to win. It was just Drake May made a couple of plays that Herbert had no chance of doing, and that was pretty much the difference of the game. Was the Patriots were just a little bit of better defense, but yeah, they had to calm down the insanity of Wild Card Weekend for just a game, 2 games actually.
Yeah. Going back to your clip, it was just thinking about her and like her like the reporter's like, yeah, I'm Sally Johnson from the whatever Jacksonville Times. It almost felt like what I expect from movies of like proper reporters and like doing like investigative work and like just going around town trying to gather information, doing like sincere like good work. And so it's just kind of like a nice like, oh yeah, you know what reporters normally wear or used to be, or like the friendly local reporter that you know you talk to and reports like what's going on around town, not writing articles about I don't know how the government's gonna murder us all and call us the Hunger Games or whatever or whatever gets all the views nowadays. But anyway, that was nice. Well, yeah, I think it's time to move on to potentially, well, not actually the last right now, but maybe one of the last Tomlinisms of the week.
Yeah, yes. Probably gonna have to be one of the last ones because of him leaving the Steelers. I don't know. Maybe if he goes on the coach another year, maybe we'll keep it. I just gotta change the picture of Tomlin in the Steelers cap because he's not there anymore. But anyway, this does correlate to this because the Tomlinism of the week goes to the Ravens owner because this was hilarious, but also wild that an owner actually said this stuff.
And now it's time for Dylan's Tomlinism of the week.
We do not care.
Mike Tomlin stepped down at Pittsburgh.
He did? Is it official?
That's what I keep hearing. So, is he a candidate here?
Holy Mike, wouldn't that be awesome? Only if John takes the Pittsburgh job. Wow, wouldn't that be interesting? I don't know, that thing last week maybe disqualified him for my opening after our kicker missed a kick to let them advance. Good for Mike.
Insanity. I will laugh if we get Harbaugh. They had the chance to do the funniest thing. But before we get into your wow and out, Quinn, just a real quick, kind of like a prediction. We'll get into the rest of the coaching tenures and where we think they're going to. But I want to specifically focus on 3 names. We'll start with Tomlin and Harbaugh. Quinn, do you have any prediction of where you think Tomlin and Harbaugh, if you think for one, because I think Harbaugh's most likely get a coach, but if Tomlin will coach, but what do you think's the future for both of them?
Well, first, before that, the Tomlinism of the week. Like I said before, there's a Bleacher Report video, or not Bleacher Report, report, but it was like a comedy skit. One of them was Mike Tomlin, his last game, and then the interviews were talking to him after the game, and they're like, "Oh, what do you think of whatever?" And he's like, if my uncle was my dad, then my cousin would be my sister," and then just walks out, and they're like, "We're gonna miss
I remember that.
That I love that. That's phenomenal. And they said it like really fast, like no. That's fantastic. I did tell Dylan he should make that his Tom Lizzo week because that would be good. But maybe sometime. But anyway, I don't know what Tomlin wants. I mean, we're talking about it. I think last offseason, like he could go to another team, get a fresh start. I think it really depends on if he wants to retire or not. I mean, he's not too old. I think he could easily go on and coach again. I feel like he could get a head coach opening, considering his resume. But he was always more of a defensive mind, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. I mean, I suppose he could be a coordinator if he wanted to, but I don't know. I feel like after 19 years of being a head coach, he's not going to want to be a coordinator. I think he'd rather sit out a year like Vrabel did and then become a head coach or something. But yeah, I think it depends on what he wants. I think too, another interesting question is in terms of, head coaches and coaching opportunities, how desirable is Pittsburgh to go and be a head coach in? Because, I mean, on one hand, you're going to probably have pretty good job security as long as you're not an idiot, as long as you're not Kevin Patullo. Maybe that would be the new thing. If you're not a Kevin Patullo, then you probably do a good job. I don't know. That feels me. Anyway, on one hand, I think it could be good, but on the other hand, like looking at the players, like you don't really have a quarterback. You have an old TJ Watt who's good, but then you kind of have a defense that's good, but also not great. Sometimes your offense coordinator is Arthur Smith, which is I don't envy your offensive coordinator. I don't think you prefer Patullo, but you can have him if you want him. But I don't know. On one hand, like I said, it could be good, but then you could like choose your own quarterback, but then you'd have to deal with trading up in the draft potentially, or making a move and dealing with the Steelers who aren't big into making moves. from my knowledge of them. But yeah, and then just briefly, I think Harbaugh will probably be head coach somewhere. I mean, there's all these jokes about like Harbaugh's phone, him getting fired, and then his phone just blowing up with like offers and come coach us, come coach us. Uh, I did. There was I forget who it was. Somebody was like, "What if the Eagles were like, hey, Sirianni didn't do anything about this Patullo thing, just terrible season. What if we can him, bring in a Harbaugh, he brings in a Monken, and we have a whole Happy
Oh
Days
my
party?"
god.
I don't think that would happen because I don't think we're firing Sirianni. But that's interesting. But yeah, I think Harbaugh will be a head coach. I mean, he was the safest option. I mean, if he wasn't a candidate, I think either Mike McDaniels or even Kevin Stefanski would probably be the top candidates because I know Stefanski wasn't phenomenal with the Browns, but he's also on the Browns. Like that's like a weighted test, but the opposite way. Like given the benefit of the doubt, he was coaching the Browns. Like what is he supposed to do with that? Um, but yeah, a lot of exciting coaches, a lot of places to move around to. But what do you think about the how appealing the Steelers head coaching opening is?
It depends on the roster because I haven't gotten to it but like there's a lot of decisions that got to be made with Rodgers, with Gainwell being a free agent. Is Cam Hayward going to stay? They had to extend TJ. It's crazy that the national media hypes up this defense as one of the better defenses, yet we were ranked 27th in total defense. So, a little bit of contradicting there, but it's intriguing in terms of sustainability, but it's tough in terms of the roster, in terms of intriguing. Like, I feel like places like the Giants or even like the Falcons, heck, even the Raiders, because they have the number one pick and are going to get Mendoza, are more intriguing because of their roster and their capital and their picks. Well, Atlanta has no picks, so that might not be the most intriguing, but you do have Bijan there in a horrible division. I mean, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I feel like you could also
somebody could really take it over, like
exactly.
like it could be their own thing, which I think is going to be better off than like some bad teams like the Raiders, where like you have the number one pick, but then the owner is going to be like, well, we want this guy, and yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, but yeah, it's tough. I think a guy like Stefanski, I feel like makes sense for Pittsburgh because he coached in the same division. He's a good offensive mind, but still has like that blue collar mentality because of where he coached. 2-time coach of the year. Took Joe Flacco to a playoffs for God's sakes. I mean, he overachieved in Cleveland. It was just some of the play calling was baffling last year, but also too, I don't think that discredits how he is overall as a coach. I mean, it's not just like the head coaches that could land here. There's coordinators. Like I feel like Clint Kubiak would be the dream hire. He made Sam Darnold a superstar in Seattle. Look how good that offense is. Even Mike McDaniel, as crazy as that sounds, could be a complete opposite of Tomlin in terms of culture and personality, but a good offensive mind. Even in college, Cignetti at Indiana, he's from Pittsburgh. I doubt he leaves, but I know he's a name out there. Or Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, another young offensive mind, possibly. Or, and I'm dreading this, Mike McCarthy, a man who's been out of football for a year, because he was born in Pittsburgh, and he coached with and he might want to reunite with Aaron Rodgers. I could see a world where they want to bring Rodgers back, and the way they convince him is, hey, we're going to bring your guy back. We're going to bring McCarthy, and I will not like that. You thought this was a must-watch episode. That will be must-watch if that happens. No. They need to go after someone at least younger and offensive-minded. And in terms of Tomlin, I think you hit the money on, like, take a year off. I know he considered going on TV, so maybe he'll be in, like, Fox or CBS or something. I could see that before wanting to go somewhere else. Or maybe he doesn't want to not tarnish his legacy, but I don't know if anything else would suffice other than coaching for the Steelers? Would any other situation be better than being the Steelers? I don't know. So it's tough. And then in terms of Rodgers' future, sorry, I'm talking forever. We'll get into wow it out a bit, but it's important.
It is important.
In terms of Rodgers, unless, like I said, they somehow lure Mike McCarthy in, which I doubt, I think Tomlin being gone makes me think Rodgers is gone. And I think at that point, it's either, I can't believe I'm saying this team, it's either the Vikings, us, or he's done. I think most likely he's retiring. If I were to put money on it, I think he is. I think he'll maybe realize I think he knows he's not the same guy, but that Texans game definitely exposed that he can't beat the elite anymore. He can't overcome and beat the elite of the league. Like, that run in him's not happening anymore to make it deep in the playoffs. And why not go out, even if it was underwhelming in a pick six, making the playoffs? Better than your Jets tenure. So, yeah, I think Tomlin leaving, I think, is a clear indictment that Rodgers is done. Minnesota should want nothing to do with him. I don't care if McCarthy's bad and you don't know what you're going to do for your future. Like, do not do that. Do not get Rodgers. So, yeah, I think Rodgers is done. But what do you think, Quinn? Is Rodgers' future?
I feel like he's best off retiring. I kind of feel like retiring might be the best option for him. I mean, it sucks to go out on a pick six as your last pass, but I mean, like you said, he made the playoffs. He couldn't beat the elite of the elite, and I mean, I think Tomlin retiring or resigning also really helps his decision to retire because I don't think he really wants to go anywhere else. I mean, he really enjoyed his time here, it sounds like, from his interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know if he'd want to stick around for a new head coach. I feel like sticking around would be the most likely thing if he stays, but yeah, I think he probably retires.
I also think, too, that the Tomlin firing probably means I think they're cleaning house. I don't think Arthur Smith stays. I don't think Terrell Austin stays. I'm not even sure the GM stays. I think it might be a clean house, fresh restart. It's probably going to be some rough years for Pittsburgh. I think it's probably going to be some not great seasons. Like, get ready for some
Good
5-6 wins. But yeah, good draft picks. But Steelers fans better get used to it because we wanted Tomlin gone, and now we wished. So be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, careful what you wish for. Yeah, that's a great point. But yeah, anyway, we'll get into some wow. And
ow!
Wow and ow!
Wow. Stop it! Wow! No!
There's some passion behind that ow, and I like it. Not that you felt the ow emotion, but that you out so well. I'm gonna go somewhat quickly through these because we talked about these, but starting with the wows. Bonus wow, actually, that reporter. That was great. That was very special. Other wow, the Panthers erasing that 14. You competitive. Having the lead twice in the fourth quarter, not something we would have thought. We didn't think it'd be a team with the last possession of the game to win the game. We didn't expect that. We hoped for it. Another wow. The Bears come back. 18 points in the fourth. And then another wow. Josh Allen being beat up, dragging his left leg along, and still getting that first road win since 1992. But now, unfortunately, we do have to go to the Owls. And first ow is going to be Justin Herbert getting beat up all the time. Jeez, protect that guy. At least he played better than he didn't throw like 4 picks, so kudos for him there. Not if man this season. Well, I guess it'd be if he didn't get sacked 200 times and was hurt. Anyway, another ow is the Steelers. Just from the sense of 6-30, that's rough. And Aaron Rodgers, and then just everything else going on. It's a kind of glum time. Another ow is my Eagles.
At least you're honest.
Can you give me another boo? Thanks. I appreciate that. That's all I'm saying. And then finally, CJ Stroud, 5 fumbles and an interception. Come on, man. You're supposed to be good. You're going to be the best guy from your draft. And now Bryce Young played a lot
He
better
missed
than you
some
did.
wide open passes, too. I mean, easy passes that he somehow missed.
Classic Ohio State syndrome.
Wow.
It doesn't apply to wide receivers for some reason because I don't know. But yeah, he's looking honestly, yeah, he's looking more like an Ohio State quarterback every day now. But except for the winning in the playoffs. That's odd. But
Wow.
anyway. Wow indeed. Anyway, I think that just about brings us to our predictions for this coming divisional matchup.
Only 4 games?
You stink! Absolutely terrible, man. He's so stupid it hurts.
Hurts. Jalen Hurts, who's not playing, unfortunately. Anyway, Dylan and I both went 4-2. Yay! Anyway, yeah, only 4 games this week, of course. Starting with 2 Saturday games. First of which being the AFC matchup. The Buffalo Bills at the 6th seed take on the number 1 seed Denver Broncos. All these games are good games and going to be kind of tough to predict because it's divisional round, so arguably they should be the toughest games to predict all year. So I am going to choose the Broncos here, and the reason why is the Bills' receiving core. Do they have a receiving core? I think Shakir is their only wide receiver that's left that isn't missing a leg or that can actually somewhat catch the ball. James Cook is good. Josh Allen's good, but Josh Allen's also hurt. And, I mean, if the Bills win this game, I think it's going to have to be with Cook. But the Broncos have a really good defense. They're rested. Say what you will about the Broncos, but they find ways to win. The Bills, it feels like a great opportunity for the Broncos because the Bills are a little beat up, both Allen and receiver-wise. The defense as well. Their safety got hurt on the Bills. And so I feel like this is a great game for the Broncos. This is what they did all year. And I think they're going to keep on doing it. Dylan?
I had Denver in the AFC Championship game in my full playoff picks. That's going to change because I'm going with the Bills to win this game. Yeah. There's a reason why they're only 1.5 point favorites. Now, I don't want to disrespect Denver because I feel like the media's writing them off as like a fraud, one and done. I don't think that. Yes, most of their wins are one-possession games. Yes, the offense isn't consistent. They're still a great team, though, especially that defense, which is scary. But I do think that Bo Nix's lack of playoff experience is going to come back to bite him, and just the inconsistencies. Despite Buffalo's injuries on defense, Denver's offense, to me, it's just kind of too hot and cold for me for them to believe in them when the game's on the line. As good as they've been in the close games, so is Buffalo. They're just as good. And again, last week I went with the more talented team in the Jags. And the Broncos are the more talented team. But I'm going to go with the more talented player in Allen. And I'm going to go with the Bills to win.
Fair.
I just think it's the best shot they've had at a Super Bowl. By far. If there's a year to do it, this is it.
This is it. Like I said, it just the receivers worries me, and then Broncos defense being great too. Also, kind of interesting. On Yahoo Sports, there's a pick your winner where everyone vote. There are 16,392 picks. It is 50-50 between the two
It's a
teams,
deadlock.
which is crazy.
Wow.
And then, the odds per Yahoo Sports is +1 and -1. +1 for the Bills, -1 Denver, and the money line is the same for both, -110. So even the makers have no clue what's going to happen here.
Yep.
Although there's a 2% lead for the Bills in terms of percentage of bets on the spread. Take from that what you will. Anyway, I'm not going to take anything from it because I'm moving on to the 49ers taking on the Seahawks. This is one of the more gimme games in my opinion. I'm taking the Seahawks. I think they're the much better team. We saw this game 2 weeks ago. The Niners, they beat the Eagles, but if the Eagles had like one or two things gone differently, the Eagles probably would have won. Like Jake Elliott making that extra point, then we could have tied the game potentially, not had to go for the touchdown. Go for it on 4th and 10 to try and get the touchdown. But the Niners, what they showed me didn't impress me. And Kittle's going to be out for maybe next season too. Insane with Achilles tear. But yeah, I'm taking the Seahawks.
My NFC playoffs are still deadlocked right now. Perfect. I'm not going to change them, so I'm going to go Seattle too. Kittle injury sucks. Shout out to him. He's one of my personal favorite players. Just sad to see that. Of all teams, too, another devastating injury. It's just going to be too much. At Seattle, in that environment, against that defense, with the depleted offense, and a defense that did good against Philly, but against better offenses, their defense isn't that stout because of the injuries. I have to go Seattle here. Again, Darnold just has to not turn it over, and they'll be good. And run that ball, too. You got good running backs.
Yeah. Advancing to the next Sunday matchup. We're back to the AFC. We have the Texans taking on the New England Patriots. Dylan, we'll start with you.
This was, to me, out of all the games, the toughest to pick of all of them. 100%. Because both these offenses underwhelmed, and both these defenses are elite. So I don't know what the heck's going to happen here. But I can't go against my Super Bowl. I cannot go against my Super Bowl champs, the Patriots, even though I'm slightly regretting that pick after watching that offense last week. But I just think that the Patriots offense is a little more talented than Houston's. The way Stroud looked, if he plays like that against any other team, they lose. And the Patriots defense is much better than the Steelers. So if Stroud struggles again, then they're in trouble against this Patriots team. It's probably going to be another like the Steelers game, ugly, defensive, low scoring. But I think the Pats offense, they have a much better running game. I think they'll edge them out.
Yeah. This was my second easiest, I think, game to predict. I didn't think it was, I didn't bother me as much. I'm taking the Patriots here just because, like I said before, the Texans, I don't trust their offense. I just don't. Their defense, very good, but CJ Stroud has not been inspiring. The Patriots also worry me a little bit, but I like them overall as a team better, so I'm taking the Pats here. And then for the final game of the divisional round of the playoffs in 2025-2026 NFL season, we have the Rams taking on the Chicago Bears. Buddy D, who's taking it home? Who's advancing?
Thanks for the nickname shout out. This was the second toughest for me to pick. I know will call me crazy because people think Bills Broncos was the toughest. That one was a little easier for me to pick. I don't know why, but this is the second toughest for me because my gut instinct, and I will stick with the Rams. I'm going to go with the Rams. But the way the Rams almost lost that game and the way the Bears came back, like, they can win this game. I think a lot of people are underestimating the Bears' chance to win. But I just think the Rams are just far more talented on offense. They got Devontae back. That looks great. Puka's unbelievable. They got a better running game. Like, the Bears have a great offense, too. But everything the Bears could do good, the Rams can do even better. And that'll be the difference.
I have a feeling my pick might be a bad idea. I'm still going with it. I'm taking the Bears. I also
Wow!
think the second hardest.
Whoa!
My thinking here is the Rams, they worry me. They have some games where you're like, that's not really very reassuring if I'm expecting you to go far. And, I mean, it feels like the Rams and how they slip up in games is the perfect chance for the Bears to take advantage of their mistake and go, okay, 18 points fourth quarter, we win the game. Maybe the Lord is with the Bears. Maybe I'm a little biased in there too, but I think this is a favorable matchup for the Bears. They have clutch genes in them this season.
Cardiac Bears.
If there's any team that can take advantage of the Rams slipping up, it's going to be the Bears and them putting their foot on the gas and just leaving. I think this might be a little radical, but this could be a blowout. It's probably not going to. But that idea just popped in my head. So
I think this is going to be the best game of the divisional round. I think this will be the best game. And then Bills-Broncos will be a close second.
Yeah, I think probably as well, but maybe a blowout. Maybe not. I don't know what I'm talking about there. But, yeah, Bears advancing. Do we want to go through the last 3 games for the season?
No! But Quinn, I got a bonus breaking news prediction. Because guess what? There isn't just professional football, Quinn. There's college football as well. And I know you don't watch it, but I'm making you predict anyway because it is the national championship game next Monday night. Miami versus Indiana. What a Cinderella run for this Miami team as the number 10 seed to go all the way to the championship game, beating Texas A&M, upsetting Ohio State, barely surviving Ole Miss. It is incredible to watch this team. Carson Beck, their quarterback, has proved me wrong. I didn't think he could get it done in the big game. He has. Their running attack is lethal. They got one of the better receivers in the country as well. They just find ways to win games. They come up clutch. While Indiana, they're the perennial favorites. With Cignetti as their coach, Mendoza is just incredible. Got himself the number 1 pick based off these playoffs alone. They just dominated. Not one game has been close. They blew the doors off of Bama, and they blew the doors off of Oregon. So it's basically the Cinderella. It's ironic, because Miami's the Cinderella story, but they're a decorated college team that's won so many national championships, while Indiana's the heavy favorite, and they've never won a championship in their college history. How weird this could turn out, but I'm going to start with the man that probably knows nothing about this besides the fact that Mendoza's playing in this. Quinn, who is winning the national championship?
Well, I recognize Carson Beck's name. And I don't like Indiana, because Penn State played them a few times. But then my dad was born in Indiana. So then maybe I do like Indiana. I don't know. But Yahoo Sports, remember that people predict who they think is going to win? There's 21,988 picks for who's going to win this game. 76% say it's going to be Indiana.
That makes sense.
Anything from Yahoo Sports, the people who choose are sometimes very dumb.
Wow.
And these numbers mean nothing. But the odds makers have Indiana as the favorite at minus 350 to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I do kind of want to say Miami, but considering Indiana's been great, and like if they're blowing out teams, the Eagles blow out teams in the playoffs. So there's someone like the Eagles, so I'll say Indiana wins.
Eagles season's over. I don't want to hear that name of that team again. Yeah, as much as I want Miami to win it all, and why I think they could keep it close unlike the other teams, I think the Cinderella story ends here. I think Indiana's just the far more talented quarterback, offense. They got one of the better pass rushes in the country that could scare Beck. Their O-line is scary good. Mendoza has time to make a sandwich out there half the time he's playing quarterback. I have to go Indiana to win the championship. I could see Miami keeping it closer a bit, but then they break away Indiana in the second half just because they're so talented.
Kind of ironic because I feel like Indiana's more of a Cinderella story because Indiana's been nobodies, and Miami's the like perennial like repeat winner. So it's kind of funny to be like, yeah, Indiana's the favorite. It's just like they're not the underdog. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But go Hurricanes.
Yeah. I agree. Dylan, do you have any dares for the people?
No, not this week. Not this week. Potentially might retire.
Fine.
Potentially might retire from that segment.
Go Birds.
Stop it. Oh my god.
That's gonna do it for our show. We are Pennsylvania sports fans, and our teams have lost, but we live on through the playoffs and hoping that our new favorite or our new preferred team will win the playoffs. Which, speaking of, Dylan, who are you rooting for?
Bills. I've been pulling for the Bills for years. Allen's one of my favorite quarterbacks. I don't really dislike any other team that's in the playoffs. Maybe the Niners, just because they've been there before. But besides that, I don't mind every other team. Even the Patriots are likable, but Bills all the way because I think Allen deserves a Super Bowl.
I would be happy if the Bills won. The only teams I don't really want to win are the Niners. I don't really love a Rams victory because they're kind of annoying because they're a little bit of rivals with the Eagles right now, a little bit, I think, and they're stupid. I mean, I like Matthew Stafford, but I'd rather them not win, but I'd rather them win over the Niners because the Niners are even more stupid. And then on one hand, I kind of don't want the Patriots to win another one because it's like, oh, great, the Patriots, they have another Super Bowl, you know? You wouldn't like that because then they destroy your record of Super Bowls. But anyway, I think I'm going to pull for the Seahawks here. Another bird team. Maybe the Bears if Seahawks lose because that's interesting. And they have the Lord on their side, maybe. Find out next week. But yeah. Thank you, everyone, for watching this fantastic episode. We'll be back next week to predict the championship game. Who will go to the Super Bowl? We'll find out. Dylan and I disagreed on 2 games. So it'll be an interesting episode next episode. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
We may have lost, but we won at the same time. Bye-bye.